Alright, hey guys, Zergling here. Some of you know me as SKT Teddy in the game. I play bow. On this account, I'm bow only actually. As you can see, rank 21, bow only, 60% win rate. Not bad. Just a disclaimer though, I don't recommend anyone to play only one Karma, especially if you're trying to win. I'm just doing it because it's a fun challenge for myself. But in my opinion, this game is designed where you have to play. To be able to play most efficiently, you have to be able to use two Karmas, ideally one Slayer and one Breaker at the same time in order to have the most efficiency. But yeah, it's 4 AM, kind of tired, but I thought I'd try to make maybe a semi-brief guide on how to play bow for all the new players, like Kurtzpel, who are trying to learn all the advanced bow techniques and stuff. So, yeah, we'll jump into practice range really quick. I guess first I'll show all the moves, the attack moves, and what they're good for, how to use them, what situations you want to use them for, and maybe we'll get into some basic combos. First, I'll show you my loadout. For the alt, I personally think Great Archer Soul is the best, just because it's a huge steroid, and the most important thing is as you can see, increase action, which is basically action speed. Spell interruption, which is really important for fighting breakers, so gauntlet and sword. Shooting speed, which is attack speed, which also helps, and shooting range, which is also a big plus. The bird's fine. It's really good against squishies. It does more than half their HP instantly. But you can't really. It's really just area denial / a nuke that's kind of unreliable because there is a stun if you use it right in front of someone. But as a bow, you don't want to be point blank in front of someone most of the time, right? Especially if you miss it, then you're kind of screwed. So yeah, it's also really punishable. It has a lot of ending lag, where you're stuck in the animation, but you can get hit. So yeah, Great Archer Soul. Level 1, level 2, it's kind of underwhelming, but level 3, the duration gets a lot longer and it's much better. Alright, passive skill. Your only real choices here are either focus strategy or energy to win. And obviously you can only use the passive if it's your main weapon, so if you're using bow as your main weapon, then you probably want to go with energy to win, because wisdom is a really broken stat and it increases your stamina regen by a lot. Your stamina and mana regen. So yeah, it's really good. Focus strategy increases your physical attack by 10% when using a skill. So basically, it'll affect your arrow rain. It's alright, but energy to win is just so much better because of the wisdom increase and how important stamina is in this game. For my three skills, I like to use Raining Arrow and Binding Arrow. These are your two core, I think. Raining Arrow is not as good as it was in beta, but it still has a lot of uses, especially for hitting people behind walls. It's not too good at interrupting caps anymore, and it doesn't really stagger as much, but it still does good damage, good range, and it's really good for catching people falling, which is the most important part. The other core skill you should probably be using is Binding Arrow, because once again it shoots behind walls. This actually has a lot of impact, so if you hit it, it'll stagger everyone, including breakers and gauntlet. Definitely not sword using fortitude, of course, because that skill is actually broken. But yeah, this has a lot of power. It does a lot of good alpha damage. I would say 2k if it crits, and it also slows movement speed, which helps you to catch up. So yeah, good skill. And the third one is toss up. I have Spirit Arrow because I'm playing solo bow, and it helps me to catch up to people or catch them who are running away from me. And it also helps my neutral game out a lot. But if you're running bow as a secondary, then you should probably use Storm Arrow to give your bow a little bit more alpha when you have an air combo. But yeah, you can try them out. I'd say they're both equally useful. Maybe I'd be leaning more towards Storm Arrow though, but I'm using Spirit Arrow because I'm only playing bow, and I needed to fill the weaknesses that only playing bow has. Karma Crystal, probably decrease cooldown, dude. Once you get to level 3, it's decreases your cooldown by 15%, which is actually huge. The others are kind of too RNG, and really, if you're playing smart, then you should always have sufficient resources. So you should always have enough stamina or mana. I rarely run out of mana, and as long as you play smartly, you won't run out of stamina too often. if you have the right stats, which brings me to Rebirth. So when you reallocate your stats in Rebirth, I think from top to bottom, it's strength, agility, then intelligence, then wisdom, then HP. Your strength and agility should be 6, so max out. Your intelligence is 3, you don't need it, you don't do magic damage. Actually this works for all physical characters, so literally anything but mage. So you want 6 strength, 6 agility, 3 intelligence, 6 wisdom, and 4 HP. Strength and wisdom are really important because they give you stamina regen, which is just super broken. You want agility to be max because it helps your crit rate, especially if you're doing physical damage, and it also increases physical damage a little. And HP at 4 is a little bit of loss in HP. Normally you'd have 18k, but with HP 4 you have 15.6k, but it's still doable. I think it's worth the trade-off. And then obviously intelligence, you don't need it. Alright, so that's it for the step, I think. I guess accessories. If you're playing archer, I think most classes you need at least 12% movement speed bonus, and the rest should be stamina regen. So yeah, for me, I have my 2 gloves and my shoes at movement speed, and then the rest stamina recovery. Okay, so I guess we can go down the list on the right that they give you, and we can talk about the skills. So basic attack, you're just clicking 3 times really quick. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to do. Not a lot of uses though in the actual game though, because it always knocks the person down, and knocking down is probably not what you want to do most of the time. The only way I use this maybe is if there's a melee like running at, if there's a breaker, so if there's a sword or fist running at me really quick and I just want to get a quick knockdown to buy me space to run away, then that's when I use it. But it only knocks down if you hit... That's right. It only knocks down if you hit the 3 arrows that come out at the end, like at a shotgun, like that. Because, you know, breakers have a lot of endurance. So it's honestly not that useful. Most of the time, if there's a breaker, if you're trying to kite a breaker, you want to use this, which I'll talk about later. Alright, next is multi-shot. This is really useful. So what I did is you left click twice, you pause a little bit, and then you hold left click again. So it'll take a while to get used to the timing, especially because you don't want to fuck it up and then do the knockdown attack. So left click, left click. This is good because it doesn't knock the person down, and it also does a lot of damage. So if your teammate's comboing someone, you want to do this to help them out. You can add DPS to the combo, and you won't fuck it up because they don't really go anywhere. Next, lift and shoot. Okay, so this is one of your 2 lifts. It's just left click and right click, and that lifts them. The space and the hold after it is to lock them in the air so you can start shooting them. Like that. You can also not use a space lock on. I'm not sure why you do that, but actually, yeah, I don't think you ever want to do it because it's really hard to land the arrows afterwards. So yeah, if you can endurance break someone, if you can stagger them, you want to get them into the air for the air combo because you can't use your shift. You can't break CC if you're in the air. One thing to note is that all your knockups as bow, actually I think every class, knocks them away from you, okay? You see how they go in an arc away from you? So if you're too far away, if you're like at your max range, or if you don't lock on in time, then they'll be out of your range. And you can't really follow up on that. So you always want to be like within medium distance, trying to knock them up and follow up. Alright, our next skill is step back and shoot, and this is probably one of the most important skills for Archer. probably your main kiting skill, I would say. So there's two parts to it. You have one, it has two dashes in it. The first one, it always sends you back. You can't like go diagonal or like forward or to the side. It always sends you backwards from where you're shooting. The second part you can control with directions. So you can do just straight back. You can go this, alright, you can go to the side. That. Go to the side. I don't think you can go forward though. That I find out. So yeah, you can either go back to the side. It's a good skill to use, especially while kiting, because you know it creates distance for you. And also this last shot here, which you can charge by holding down right click, it will stagger. It usually staggers breakers pretty consistently. For sword talias, you don't need to charge it up to break them, but against gauntlets you need to charge it up a little just to stagger them. Oh, and another tip is you can use it as sort of like use it as like a scuff dash if you look opposite of where you want to go. Honestly, running might be better. Just to save stamina. Next we have aimed shot. So this is your right click. You hold right click, and you hold left click. So you hold both to charge your shot, and it just releases it. Just releases an arrow. It has pretty good range and a lot of power. So if you charge it a little, it'll stagger every class. This is really useful against squishes. Actually, they take a lot of damage, and you can stagger them with uncharged shots like this. So if this was like a mage or an archer, you can, if you have enough action speed, so I want to say at least 122, you can actually perma-stun them. Obviously, it'll take a long time to kill them, and they can shift out of it because they're on the ground, but it's still really annoying for the other player. So yeah, I like to use this to stop caps from pretty far away. It doesn't use a lot of stamina. It's pretty quick to cast. It has a solid skill. Alright, next we have aimed recharge shot. Okay, so this is where you're charging it all the way. Double tap your direction key. Charge again, and it'll let out a much powerful charge shot. This used to be really, I guess it was a situational skill beta because it was actually really powerful. It did a lot of damage, but now it's been just hit with a nerf bat, and it does like no damage. So there's really no situation where you ever want to use this, except maybe like zoning people as they come out of their spawn. Yeah, it just takes up too much stamina. It takes way too long to charge up. It doesn't do that much damage. So yeah, that's like a noob trap. Oh, also yeah, you can't combo off it because it knocks down the person instantly. Next we have cover fire. I think it's this one. I think that's what you mean. So this is your second knock-up, and the unique thing about this knock-up, what's different is that you only fire one shot, and you can use it's a dash while you use it. So you can be dashing backwards and be knocking out the person in front of you like this. For bow, it's pretty hard to get a knock-up because they have to be staggered before you do the knock-up, or they won't go anywhere. So against breakers, it's pretty hard to get a knock-up off. It also has some really wonky targeting in actual games. So like, arrow won't always hit. It's pretty inconsistent. I only really use it to maybe off an arrow range where I know they'll be staggered a little bit. So it has that lingering hitbox, and then you can get a knockout. Yes, you want to make sure it's still usable though. Whenever you have a chance to get a knockout. That's probably the best way to do it because it uses the least amount of stamina. Next we have air shooting. So this is just It's literally just your basic attack except in the air, and it has the same effect, knocks down the person. So yeah, you want to use that smartly. Don't want to knock down someone you're trying to combo. Don't be a griefer. Next we have combo air shooting, so this is basically your multi-shot in the air. Same thing, jump, left click twice, pause, left click. I would say in most scenarios this is probably better than the one on the ground, because it starts up a little bit quicker. It also has better targeting because you're looking downwards. So targeting works a little bit better, and it also has a little bit longer range. Also, it doesn't send you backwards. Because it kind of sends you backwards a little, which sometimes you don't want. The only weakness to it is this. If someone's rushing to you, you can't really dodge out of the way compared to like if you're just multi-shotting normally. You can shift out anytime. Yeah, really good DPS tool, especially when your teammates air comboing, you can help with the damage. If I can do it. Okay. Next we have double leap attack. This is the only attack you can do while you double jump, and it will always knock down. So really useful for some capture the flag maps, like abandoned waterway. You can be under the bridge and you can double jump and knock them down if they're on the bridge. Also in what's the other capture flag? The cave one, Caliad Cave. If you're on the ground and the flag is on top of the arch, you can double jump, knock down the person capping it. Aim, that's just this. Just hold right click and it gives you the vertical and you can do a charge shot. And then rush is just your dash. Alright. So those are the skills. Those are like your attacks, your stamina attacks. Now we can talk about skills and maybe how we can chain them together. So like I said, this is the combining arrow. It's just an AoE attack and it's once. Does good alpha. I'd set around 2k damage against actual players, like players with defense, not this dummy. It also slows them, and it staggers every class on hit. So I guess you could say it's has a lot of impact, a lot of endurance break. Arrow rain works the same. It works pretty similar. You want to use this more as a DPS tool because it doesn't really stagger. It doesn't have a lot of endurance break. Like you'll try using if someone's capping the flag, this usually won't stop the cap if they have their breaker out. So ideally, you can either use a follow up if you start off with binding arrow and then they shift out of it. If they shift out of the CC, you can try to catch them with the arrow rain right after. So let's say the dummy shift, then you can try to catch them with the arrow rain. Another way you can use that is you can use it to like catch people as they're falling from the ground or falling from the air before they touch the ground. So I'll show you when it goes up and down. So we're gonna lift the dummy, do our air attack, and we're gonna place the triple under him. So as he lands, he's getting hit and he's getting staggered. And then if they don't have their shift up, most people will just spam their shift, and as soon as they touch the ground, they'll probably shift out of it. But if they don't have their shift up, it has your arrows will be, it has a lingering hitbox because your arrows are leaving your bow and traveling in the air. So there'll be like a short amount of time where they're still getting hit by the arrow rain, but you're done with the cast. So in that time, you can use that to get another knockup because it's staggered, right? Just like that, you can get 2 arrows off, which is a lot of damage. Spirit arrow. This is a homing arrow. You can only use it. You can only use the skill. See how when I'm not aiming, the skill's red? It's on my R. But when I am aiming, then the skill turns blue. So you can only use the skill while you're aiming. You can see it changes the visuals of your bow. So you toggle it on or off. So it's off. I press R to toggle it on. press R to toggle it off. One important thing to notice is that you use your skills as fillers to charge mana or charge stamina, right? And if you have your spirit arrow toggled and you charge your bow, notice it drains mana instead of stamina. It's really important. You don't want to drain your stamina and then press the arrow if you're low on stamina. Spirit arrow travels pretty far. It's pretty easy to dodge by good players because it's really big. It's bright, it's big, and it's kind of slow, and they'll just shift as soon as it comes to them. Like literally, you just have to wait until it like curves, start tumbling, and you just shift, and you usually dodge it most of the time. Targeting is pretty inconsistent, but when it does hit, it has like it's a pretty long stagger, and it does like a lot of damage, almost 5k if it crits. Okay, so most of our combos, I guess I'll show you a basic combo. So we'll start with the knockout. Catch them with Binding Arrow. Another knockup. Catch them again. And if you can't, knock them up again. Yeah, as you can see, with bow, most of your combos just rely on knocking them up. And theoretically, you can do an infinite if you just catch them with Hitman. But most people in this time will have to shift. And what usually happens is they shift out of it. But yeah, if you can catch someone without their shift, that's the combo you want to do. You just want to keep knocking them up, catching them with either your basic attack or one of your skills, and then knocking them up again and air shooting. Alright, let's talk about the ult, which I have is Great Archer Soul. So it's basically just a huge steroid. The two most important things about the ult that gives you is one, it almost, I want to say almost doubles your attack range, which is crazy. And two, it increases your break and your endurance break. So what normally might not have staggered breakers like Sword and Gauntlet, it will stagger them. So like maybe your multi-shot in the air, it usually does not stagger. It usually does not stagger a breaker until like the very, very last shot, and by that time it's probably too late and they're already under you and they're comboing there. But with the ult, it usually only takes maybe 2 shots. So I'll try to use it before it starts. Alright, notice how I can't target it from here? That's my attack range. On my ult, and you'll see how much larger my attack range is. I'll even back up over here. Pretty far. You can even do a knockup from back here. Follow up. Maybe not. You have to be a little bit closer. Yeah, the range is pretty ridiculous. Space. Oh, I got it. Yeah, see? It's a really good steroid. Once you use this ult, you just want to be jumping a lot and looking for the multi-shots across the map and just putting out a lot of DPS. Because really nobody can challenge you. Not even breakers, because you just shoot so fast and your endurance break is massively improved, so they just get staggered. They just get perma staggered. Oh, also the ult does have like it does have like sort of a combo break effect. So if you're using it at melee range, it'll slow the person down like mage ult, and then it'll push them away and stagger them when you come out of it. That's only if you're like in melee range. If you're not using it like that, you want to use it behind a wall or something, or far away from the fight, where no one can punish you while you're coming out of the animation. I think that sums it. I guess I can show you different skills. I'll show you like Storming Arrow, because I also said that was the 2 viable skills. Okay, so the way you want to use Storming Arrow is, it's a good tool. Its best uses are Archer versus Archer. Because say you face another Archer, you run into each other. It's really just a race to whoever gets like the first shot off, and usually you both shoot at the same time and you stagger each other. But if someone doesn't, it usually comes down to whoever wins engagement. It comes down to who has their Storming Arrow up, or if they have it equipped. So if you're playing against another Archer, you storm arrow because it staggers them and it pushes you away from them so they can't follow up. Compared to like if you just left click each other over and over again, it's you both are technically losing. Storming arrow also is you want to use it as like an executed because it's pretty good range and it does actually a lot of damage, and it's also auto targeted so you can't really miss it. And the arrows are pretty fast. So one of the ways I like to use it, and I see a lot of people use it, is I'll just wait for the cooldown to come back up. You use it to, as the person's falling, you hit them with the storming arrow because it does a lot of alpha damage, and you want to kill them before they have the chance to touch the ground, and then maybe like use shift to break the CC and then ult you. So for example, let's say he's really low, like maybe 10%, I would use the storming arrow right there, and if they're low enough, it'll kill them, and they won't have a chance to use their shift to break the block. So yeah, the reason why I say it is if you use bow in the secondary because, or the reason why I said to take storming arrow if you use bow as a secondary is because if you're using bow as a secondary, you're usually using it as sort of like free DPS, especially on a squishy. And most of the time you're using it as like an execute. So let's say I'm playing sword, knock them up, they're getting kind of low, I don't want them to ult, so I'm just storming arrow again, and hopefully that kills them. And you don't need a spirit arrow to catch anyone because you can really just leap at them, or you just really pop the most broken skill, fortify, run at them. So yeah, I think that's it for probably the most viable skills. The other ones aren't as useful. Like, salvo arrows is probably just a PvE skill for shotgunning bosses with it. Siege mode is very situational. It's really getting, you can like almost 3-shot mages, but most top mages now carry Icefall, so it's kind of useless against that. If they see you sieging up, they'll just put an Icefall from them. You can't do anything about it. So yeah, Spirit Arrow and Storming Arrow are your choices for the third one, and of course, Raining Arrows and Binding Arrow are your core. Alright, I think that's it for this one. I wanted this to just be in like an introductory video. I'll try to record some like actual gameplays, actual fights, and maybe show you how to like deal with certain matchups against certain karmas, and I'll try to provide some commentary over it. So yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Just try to make sure I didn't forget anything. I think that covers it for the most part. I'll just show you the Infinity really quick if you're trying to level up bow. Let's see. So yeah, the last skill you get is like the last combat skill, sort of. That's not a cosmetic. It's the Great Archer Soul, and you get that at Infinity 700. And here's all the conversations I have so far. So if you want to be speedrunning your Infinity, just pick these topics in the brackets that you don't have yet. I think this, for level 2, I think the last one is bug and it doesn't exist. Here's level 3. And level 4. I'm not at level 5 yet. Almost. So yeah, you can use that to help your Infinity and fast track it. Alright, I think that's it for now, boys. See you later. Let me know what you think, and if you have any questions, like I said, don't forget to ask. Alright, peace, boys.